There. Okay.
There we go.
Okay, so here we are again to do a math session. Today is October 6th. Almost thought it was August, but it's actually October 6th,
Wow.
2021. Yes. I am Margaret Mauger, and I am a registered counseling therapist here at the After Trauma Empowerment Network in Scotia, Nova Scotia. And I'm joined by Ida Woodford, who is co-host and chairperson on and board of directors. And Kate Matthews is also behind the scenes doing our admitting and our technical direction. We're great that you're here to be with us and spend a little time. Thank you. And I also want to express our deepest gratitude to the Mental Health Foundation of Nova Scotia for their generous financial support, enabling us to be able to do this program once a week to you wonderful people. So first we'll do our diversity welcome, and then we'll do a check-in, Vida, and then we've got so much to talk about.
We do.
I'm sure we won't get to it all, but we'll give it a try. Yeah.
Yes.
Pictures and pins, and it's, you know, we're celebrating 2 different months. We've got a holiday coming up on Monday. There's a lot going on. So let's do our welcome, and then we'll do our check. Okay.
Okay.
So I would like to welcome all women, men, transgender, and other identified individuals here today. I'd like to welcome everyone here who is a mother, father, sister, brother, auntie, uncle, cousin, son, daughter, grandmother, or grandfather. Welcome. I welcome people of all races, tribes, and descent. I welcome your bodies, your minds, and your energy. I welcome survivors and those who suppress them. I welcome all people single, married, dating, partnered, celibate, or involved in whatever sort of relationship is right for you. I welcome gay, lesbian, bisexual, heterosexual, queer, asexual, two-spirited, and others for whom none of the current labels fit. I welcome your emotions, your joy, your bliss, grief, rage, hope, contentment, and disappointment. I welcome everyone's special way of understanding and knowing the world, everyone's wisdom, whether it is education that has been learned in schools, colleges, universities, and or the deep and profound school as well. I welcome those living with chronic medical conditions and disabilities, visible and invisible. I welcome mystics, seekers, and believers of all kinds. I welcome people who identify as activists, community leaders, musicians, artists, group members, and those who don't. And finally, I'd like to welcome the ancestors who lived in this land where we are now. Welcome the spirits of Mi'kmaq, the natives who lived in this area before the Europeans came. I'd like to acknowledge them and invite their spirits to this space. Everyone, welcome. And again, thank you for being here. Okay, Vida. Okay.
Yeah.
How are you doing on this October 6th? This lovely autumn, beautiful day.
It is. When our fall days are like today, it's my favorite season. But as we get closer to November, it tends to get colder and wetter and windier. But if November was like this, I would be a fall loving person. But so I'm glad we have. I think it's supposed to last for a while too, into the weekend, and then get better. I think there's a day of rain and then get better again.
Yeah.
So I'm good. I'm doing well. I can't think of anything too exciting that I've done. I'm probably forgetting everything, but I haven't. I did finish, sadly, watching the Toronto Blue Jays, although I was very proud of their performance this year. And I have to say, now that I live with Mom, and she's a big fan of the Blue Jays, I've kind of gotten back into watching baseball again. And I'm loving the new young players that the Blue Jays have. And I'm looking forward to the next seasons to come, because I think as they get a little older, they probably will be making the playoffs. And it'll be fun to see Toronto there again. I mean, they've got some pretty wicked players now, and they're only in their early 20s. So,
I know.
and then we're coming up on the new season for the NHL. And I know you as a Toronto fan and I as a Montreal fan will be watching, and maybe even will dare to watch at the same time in the same room.
Yes,
And I'm not sure. I haven't watched a lot of preseason, so I don't know how Montreal's
you
looking.
missed the game last night?
I did. I forget why. I think Mom was watching something else and we forgot. So
I think the final score was 6-2 for Toronto.
Yeah, I saw how badly Ottawa beat Montreal, and I kind of think maybe they're in a rebuilding year, or a year where they traded all their good players away again. But I'm hoping they'll come along and do better. So
yes, October 13th is the next time Toronto and Montreal.
Yeah.
And we will sit together in the same room.
Yes, we'll see if we're able to watch in the same room on that night, or if it's necessary for us to be in separate buildings. But no, it'll be fun.
Yes, Steve made a comment that the Jays were preparing Toronto fans for heartbreak in time for the next league season.
Oh, well,
That's comment.
I like that. I'll tell my mother. She's also a Montreal fan too. So yeah. And now she's happy, or not happy, because Dad was a Boston Red Sox fan and a Boston Bruins fan. And of course, the Red Sox had to play the Yankees last night and they won. And Mom was hoping that the Yankees would win, because she doesn't want Boston to do anything good. So, but
yeah, that was a wild card game.
Yeah. So it was all of it in one game, and now the Yankees will be golfing with the Blue Jays. Yeah. So anyway, there's nothing I can think of that I could share. And if I do, I'm sure either I'll tell you all or I'll save it for next time. And yeah.
Well, if anything pops into mind, moving along.
Okay. Well, could I say that I did get a chance to see my friend Leanna yesterday, and I didn't know if you were going to share about your pin.
Yes, but you go ahead, you share, and then I'll read something.
Okay. Yeah. So when she is doing some fundraising and hoping to have a dream to open a place for people to come to heal. And she has started by doing some fundraising. And her first fundraiser was she designed and crafted the pin that you can see that Margaret is wearing. And I'll let you, Margaret, kind of, if you want to share anything that's written there. There's a reason why she designed it that way, but it is in memory of her mother, who was Nora Bernard. And Nora was very, very instrumental in fighting to have the residential school survivors and the day school survivors and their families, first of all, that it was recognized that they had experienced horrific abuse during their time, and also, but that that there would be perhaps an apology and so on, that the government would finally acknowledge what had happened. And Nora started that in 1986. And she worked very hard, I think it was 21 years. And anyway, unfortunately, she died she was murdered. And so Leanna is one of her daughters, and she wants everyone to know about her mother and also wants to continue her mother's work.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yes.
I-
Well, I'm going to read from the description that came with the pen, and
Mhm.
it's leather, and it's simply beautiful, and it's powerful, and I'm so honored to be wearing it. So this is called the Faceless Forever Sacred Creation. Honoring and remembering Nora Bennett, a Mi'kmaq activist, Journey for Justice, 1986 to 2007. And this is her quote.
Mm.
Justice. I wanted justice for my First Nations people who attended residential school, not only down here, throughout Canada. This faceless, forever sacred, braided hair adorned with copper, infused with 4 sacred medicines, cedar, sage, tobacco, and sweetgrass, orange shirt creation thing, is to honor and pay tribute to all residential school survivors, Indian day school survivors, to the loved ones who never made it home, and to all the loved ones who continue to be affected by the intergenerational trauma and impact of the Indian residential school system. So the creation symbolizes it's faceless, and that is to remember all survivors, because every child matters. The braided hair represents your strength, courage, and cultural identity. May you always be strong and proud. The copper adornment represents justice, truth, and balance. The orange shirt, survivor Phyllis Webstad founded Orange Shirt Day to honor and remember the children who attended residential schools. And the black backing represents the dark and tragic chapter in Canadian history. The treatment of children in Indian residential schools is a sad chapter in our history. That was said by Prime Minister Stephen Harper in 2000. The Faceless Forever Sacred Creation, designed and created by Nora's daughter, Leanna. Thank you for your support.
Yeah. Mm.
I'm so honored to have one. Thank you, Vida, and thank you, Leanna. And
Yeah.
thank you, Nora.
Yeah.
I know she did so much. She's so committed and dedicated and driven to create change. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that kind of leads into this being Mi'kmaq history,
Mm-hmm.
history month. And so that's in recognition of Mi'kmaq History Month. And that, I was talking with Vida and Kate before we came on about Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving holiday. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because Vida, we get onto these topics and then like
Yes.
an hour goes by and we didn't even get to a third of what we had planned. I just, I knew that the history that I was taught as a young person in the education system that I went through, I've learned as an adult that that system was very, very biased, very flawed, very inaccurate. It left a substantial detail about the truth of every very ugly. And last night I was doing some reading on the Thanksgiving holiday and discovered again that so many details I was not told, and still to this day there's a lot of people that aren't aware of the whole story. I mean, we want to be thorough when we're trying to learn about a topic and understand it. We need to research multiple sources in order to have that, because certainly the education I was provided as a young child was not thorough at all. Yeah. And so Thanksgiving is for some people a great celebration of life of the harvest. And I think that for other individuals and cultures, it's a very strong reminder of the trauma, the violence, the injustice that has happened throughout Canadian history. And we could talk about American history, but we're in Canada and we're talking about our things. And I think that having a day where all people can hold gratitude for the gifts in their life, I think that's a good thing to hold. And I was reading a Maclean's article, and the reporter or the author of that article had talked about, now that we know different, maybe we can rename Thanksgiving so that it's all encompassing of everybody, and it's not a reminder for a lot of people of the ugly darkness that is happening. And I would like to read a quote, a gratitude quote that I found. Gratitude is something that I practice every day. I am immensely grateful for so many things, for the air that I'm breathing right now, for the fact that I can turn on hot water in my boat. I have a vehicle to get here. I'm grateful for Vida, for Kate, for my family, my friends, people who support this nonprofit organization and the work that we do in the community. There's just so much to be grateful for. And gratitude is powerful. It goes a long way. It has a lot of power in it. And I think this quote kind of sums it up. So this was said by Melody Beattie. Gratitude turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos into order, confusion into clarity. It makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. Oh,
I like that.
that's beautiful.
It is.
And
Yeah.
it grows and grows and grows, and the more that gratitude that you have, the more things that come that you feel gratitude for.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So since we're on the topic of well, we were, and then Margaret jumps all around. Like she
Oh,
does.
that's all
So
right.
just to go back to Mi'kmaq History Month. Last week, I had tried to show some slides. I was talking about dance and the power of movement, the storytelling in dance, and I wasn't able to show the photos because I thought I had it figured out, but it didn't work. So I would like to just take a couple of minutes and show those photos that I was going to show last week. And then I know Vida's got a lot she wants to talk about. She's been doing research, and she's got a book full of notes there she wants to share with everybody.
And I mercifully, I don't think I will read it all, but I'll share some of the highlights.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me see if I can get this. And I guess just to talk about art for 1 second. So dance is a form of art. And in some of these photos, the makeup, the painting on the face is art. The beadwork in some of these regalia outfits are incredible art. The movement, I know it's hard to appreciate the movement from a photo, but you can see the movement of it. It's just, yeah, I'm excited to show you. And these photos have been taken over probably the last 6 or 7 years at different powwows, or the Mi'kmaq term for that is Maui that I've attended in the last few years of my life. it's very human for me to go to these events when we're hosted. There hasn't been any for a couple of years due to COVID. But yes, these are pictures that I've collected over the years. Yeah. So, I'll show you. And you're able to see that on your back?
Yes, yes. Oh, what a sweetie.
Work on the front.
I know.
These are just so gorgeous.
Wow, they are.
This is a hoop dancer, and I'm pretty sure I counted 12 hoops.
Yes.
And I know I've got a shoulder in that photo. And the kids on the floor are just, amazed.
Oh,
And then that's the back.
oh, that's beautiful. You take wonderful pictures.
Well, see, to me, pictures are everywhere. We just need to be able to take a
Mhm.
moment to capture them. Because this person was just standing there, and I just
Yeah.
caught him as he is. And thankfully I caught him as he is, because it's and it's so
Oh, that's
lovely photo
beautiful
of
as
an elder.
well.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's got no bully beef over him.
Mm. The drumming. The drum.
The colors.
Yeah.
I put as many as I could in here.
Oh, wow.
She's a jingle dancer.
Yeah.
She had like over 300 jingles on one dress. And it's magical when you hear them dance.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Oh, there's so many little ones who are getting to learn about their culture and participate, and
Yeah. Love that.
Mm.
This is one of my best.
Yeah.
Little jingles.
Yeah. It's beautiful too. Well, they're all beautiful.
Yeah. And see, I'm just capturing them as they are. And they're just stunning as they are.
Wow.
Yeah, everyone. One of these.
Oh, look at him.
I know. He's ready to drum. He wants to drum.
Yeah. He means business.
Yeah. But all of these are
Oh, I know.
beautiful.
I love the different
Art.
headdresses and the,
I
yeah.
know. And that piece around his neck, that's all beads. It's all that orange and red and blue. It's all beads. Oh, I'm humming right now. I do that when I'm working away at things. I'll hum to myself.
Well, next
I
you'll
just
break
hum.
into a song, Margaret.
Oh, she's humming. Sorry. I love that.
Mm.
So I tried to show
Oh.
a potato dance photo last,
Yes.
and this is, I think I have a couple of one. I might have another potato dance. These may have been the winners of potato dance.
That's in the gym at the community college.
Yes, so I think it was
Yes.
that would have been back in 2009, I believe, was the first time that
Mm-hmm.
Pearl campus had a Maui Almy. And
Yes.
I had never been to one, and it was one of the best events I've ever been to.
Yes.
The energy,
I
and they bring in elementary school students to be exposed and participate,
mm-hmm.
and everybody's on the floor dancing, feeling the drum.
Yeah, I was able to attend one there as well, and oh, what an experience to be able to, like, such a learning and such a just a lovely experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is the last one. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
Love you.
Thank you for letting me show those. Oh,
Yeah.
now I wish there was one we could go to tonight. Just to take it in, feel that energy.
Yes. Well, hopefully we'll be able to gather again in the spring or summer
Yeah.
and actually get to attend another couple.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be a few if we're able
Yeah.
to do that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
they're beautiful
So,
pictures.
thank you, Mom. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we will, where it is Mi'kmaq History Month, we will, for the next, with our sessions in October, we will highlight Mi'kmaq history in some
Mm-hmm.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have a guest come in and speak. And if you have any ideas, please
Yeah.
send them.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did also, Margaret, want to mention it's past, but on Monday it was the National Day of Awareness for the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women. And so we didn't have an event here, but we do facilitate a young women's group here on Mondays, and we had a little discussion about it, and I was very impressed to hear how much they knew and how aware they were about, I don't think the numbers that get reported are accurate, sadly, but there are currently at least, and I know it's more than 4,000 currently women who have either been murdered or are missing in our country. And every day those numbers grow. And sometimes we hear that maybe they've at least found out where the person is, or they're able to arrest and charge someone if the person has been murdered. But I mean, it's just way too many. And it's only in the last couple of years that it's even being talked about in the mainstream media and conversations and so on. It was just because, sadly, it involved Indigenous women and their families. It was not seen as being important. Yeah. And our policing agencies, whether they're the local ones or our RCMP, have not in the past given it the attention it should have had. And hopefully it will get better and get better quickly so it doesn't happen, and at least we can solve some of these cases so families can have at least some peace and have some answers. Yeah, so that isn't specific to Mi'kmaq people, but it is most certainly affects our Mi'kmaq people and across the country, all of our Indigenous people. So yeah, anyway, just wanted to remember to say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know you've got a lot that you want to say.
Yes. Yeah. And I've been thinking, like, as you said, I do have a lot of notes, but I'm hoping you're up for a challenge.
Oh,
So rather than, if I put you on the spot, don't panic.
that's okay.
I thought what I would do, today, of course, I left everything to the last minute, as I always do. And I wanted to refresh my knowledge because I'm most certainly not a scholar when it comes to, as we mentioned, it's Mi'kmaq History Month. It's also Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and it's also lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, two-spirited, queer and questioning and intersex aware, or actually History Month.
Yeah.
And so I thought for the next few minutes, I have maybe 20 minutes or so, that I can talk a little bit about the history, not so much about, necessarily what definitions are or whatever, or what the statistics are, but just a bit about history. And as part of that, in a minute, I was going to do a bit of a quiz with you, Margaret, and you're very lucky to have someone that you can use, and you don't have to,
Oh,
she can help you.
I can do a
You can do
shout-out.
you could do a shout out, and that person behind you that we never see may be able to help you out. So
Yay.
it'll be a team effort, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, so for I don't know if you've not watched our podcast before, and anyway, I have talked about being lesbian and growing up pretty much knowing that I was from a very young age. When I was really young, I didn't always have the language to talk about it, but it was something a feeling. And I always knew when people would say, oh boy, I bet you can't wait till you grow up and you can get married to a man and do this. And I always thought, no, I'm not going to do that. Pretty much from 4 or 5 years old, I used to think, I'm not going to marry a man, I'm going to marry a woman. And I didn't know that when I was growing up back in the 60s that I couldn't marry a woman legally. I just thought that you could do that. So, but as I grew up and in my late teens, I think I kind of solidified my sexual orientation and as we all do, you go and you look to see if there's someone that you may fall in love with and want to spend the rest of your life with, or at least some time. And I think I was 25 or 26 when I met the person who I fell in love with, and I wanted to marry. And even though we couldn't marry, we pretty much moved in together. And unfortunately, she passed away in 2018, but we had been together for 30 years and legally married for 5, even though we could have gotten legally married after 2005. We debated whether we wanted to buy into all that crap, what that marriage could be. And then later on, after thinking about it, we decided that, yeah, it was important to do that. So I was very fortunate to have her in my life for 30 years. And, but we went through a lot of history. And so I just thought, tonight we could just talk a little bit about history and how it relates to the gay and lesbian community, and also to transgender people and others who identify with different terms and so on. Yeah. So are you kind of ready to maybe take a question or two here?
Yeah.
Well, there's some, you can look around you.
Part of me, there's just a little bit of anxiety here about it.
Oh, well, I won't make them too hard.
That's that perfectionist part of me that wants to know all the answers. And
okay. Okay, well, I'll start off with what I would think should be a fairly easy question.
Okay.
Can you tell me what the acronym LGBTQ stands for?
Okay.
And Kate can help you.
Okay.
And she can call out things if you need her help. So
Okay. Lesbian, gay,
mhm,
bisexual, now transgender,
mhm,
and it could be queer or question. It might be
that's
queer.
right. Yeah, it could be
Okay.
both.
Okay. Did I miss one?
No,
LGBT.
and
Okay.
there are a couple of other acronyms you may see that are even longer. So sometimes you'll see a 2, the number 2 and an S. Do you know what that would stand for?
That's our two-spirited.
That's right. And then there's also an I that you might see. Do you know what that stands for?
That would be intersex.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay. And a
Okay.
bonus question, can you tell me the term that we used to use for people who are intersex?
But we don't use it anymore.
We don't, because it's kind of more of a medical term.
Is this hermaphrodite?
That's right. Well,
Okay. Wow.
Margaret, you're batting
Yay.
1,000 so far.
Okay. Well, you were talking
Okay.
history, and history was not a strong subject for me.
Yeah, well, you're doing good. So a lot of another term that we used to use, I guess, for people when we talk about sexual orientation, and in particular people who are not heterosexual, we used to also use the term, it's also an H word.
Okay.
What would that have been for people who were not I almost said it, heterosexual.
Okay. Homosexual.
That's
The
right.
the old school.
Yeah. And then for a while, we used the term gay, and it was an umbrella term.
Mhm.
And so a lot of times I know people will say to me, well, why do we have to have all those letters? Why can't we just say gay? And for some people, it's really important to identify who they are in that big umbrella. And so it's important that we show the diversity in the gay community, and also in the gender identity community as well.
Mhm.
And also with Two-Spirit, that we acknowledge that within different cultures, there may be different views or different words or language that's used to talk about people who would be in our world, we would say in the gay community. So yeah, I think it's hard, sometimes to say all those letters in the acronym, but I think it's important for some people to know that we see you, you're there, and you're not just kind of in the mix.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So the initials became mainstream in the 1980s. And before that, you would hear, people saying gay, or you would hear a lot of words used that were not positive, that were derogatory. And you also, within the gay community, even when I was growing up, there would be terms that you would hear, or even items of clothing or the way you wore your clothing, that would indicate to other like thinking people, it was a way of communicating. So, sometimes you might take a handkerchief and hang it out of your left pocket. And that would be a sign to other people that thought like you that, yeah, I'm one of you and I'm safe. There were terms like Boston marriages. That was a term that you would hear for two women who lived together, who were not siblings. And it was kind of code for they were in a same-sex relationship, or they were lesbians or bisexual women. And it was something that people would use. There were people called Friends of Dorothy. Do you have any guesses where that might have originated from? It was a term used for gay men and women, and bisexual women and men, and how that originated.
I remember us talking about this by the.
It comes from The Wizard of Oz.
Okay, I was kind of.
And yeah, so Dorothy was, of course, the one who got swept up. I never saw that movie myself, but
Oh,
and
okay.
so I haven't. It was a movie that was very popular in the gay community, in particular because there was a song "Somewhere Over the Rainbow" sang by Judy Garland, and Judy Garland was a gay icon, or a guycon, as we would say today, for members in the gay community. And so if you were a friend of Dorothy, that meant that you were gay. So if you were referring to someone, if I were to say, oh yeah, do you know Josephine? Well, she's a friend of Dorothy's. That would be a way for me to tell my friends who were also gay that she was one of us. So there were women who wear comfortable shoes was another term. And again, it was, I guess, based on a stereotype, but that if you were lesbian, you wore flat shoes, or you wouldn't walk in the kinds of shoes that heterosexual women might wear. And it was very based on a lot of stereotypes. So there were, a lot of terms like that over time that have been used. But in the late 1970s, symbols started to be shown kind of in mainstream. And one of the symbols I can see right behind you there, Margaret, and don't turn around, I want you to tell me how many colors are there in the pride flag that is on your door?
On my door, I believe it's
on your
6.
6. And can you name all 6 of them without looking?
Purple, green, blue, orange, yellow, red.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, yes or no, has the pride flag always, the rainbow flag on your door, has it always had only 6 colors?
No.
You're right. Do you know, or can you name at least one of the other colors that existed when it was first designed?
I believe turquoise.
That's right. Do you happen to know?
Is it lavender or pink?
Pink.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there were 8 colors in the original flag, and it was developed by a man named Gilbert Baker in 1978. And it was used that year sort of as a large symbol that represented everyone that fell in that umbrella in the gay community. Nowadays, I was telling you earlier, I don't know how many flags there are, but a lot of people who have letters in that acronym also have designed and developed flags that are more representative of who they are. So, you will see many different flags, and actually the rainbow flag that's on your door, there is another version that I've started to see being used, and it has something different. And we kind of talked about this just before we went on the air here. Do you know any of the other colors that have been added to the rainbow flag?
There is black, dark brown, white.
Yep.
Sky blue. Pink.
Yep. And you can stop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
I get them all?
yes, you did. And that the black and the brown came from a flag known as the Philadelphia flag that expanded on the 6 colors in the rainbow to add the black and brown to make sure that people who were in people of color would see that they were represented. And then also because people whose gender identity or transgender people are also included in that umbrella, they added the white, the baby blue, and the pink. And the baby blue and the pink are there because they were traditionally or historically the colors that were assigned to a boy or a girl at birth, especially in recent history. That would be the way. So Yeah, and it isn't another group of stripes. It's actually a chevron, which was kind of like an arrow that points in, and it has the stripes there.
Yeah,
So it doesn't mean the flag is a lot bigger than it was. It just has some different shapes and colors.
if I was on the ball Vida, I would have an image to show.
Yes, and I had a whole bunch, and I know even less about computers than you do, so I couldn't send it to you to put it up so you could do that. But yeah, and it's known, the new flag is known as the Progress flag. And it was designed or crafted in 2018, and we're starting to see more and more places where that flag is being flown. So yeah. There's another symbol, or well, not another. There's many other symbols that we also may see that represent the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, two-spirited, queer, and questioning community. Can you think of any others besides the flag that you may have seen? Or
I think the symbol that's popping into my mind right now is a trans symbol. Unless
okay,
I'm
yeah.
confusing that.
No, most certainly there are. I mean, there are symbols for people who are intersex. There are symbols that are used for the trans community. There are,
What happened?
I just don't know, but I'm back.
Okay.
I disappeared. Yeah. Anyway, the one I was thinking of, and is the pink triangle. And sometimes you may also see, but not as commonly, the black triangle. Have you seen or heard of those before?
Yes.
Do you have a guess as to where maybe the pink triangle came from? Or when it was used? And it wasn't necessarily used in a positive manner.
Was it the Holocaust?
Yes.
Okay.
I heard your helper in the back.
Thank you, Kate.
Yes. During the Holocaust, it hasn't been as well known that besides Jewish people who were forced to go into to concentration camps, there were also other groups of people, and that included people who were different or didn't fit into the mainstream ideal of what the Nazi people and the Adolf Hitler wanted. And that included people who were what sometimes were referred to as sexual deviants. And it could be that you were a gay man or a lesbian woman, or you may even be, a prostitute or someone who was involved in those kinds of things. And so they were also forced into concentration camps, and they were marked with two pink triangles, the same as the two yellow stars were for the Jewish people. So it formed a star, but it was two pink triangles. And there were also the two black triangles that were formed as a star as well. The other thing that happened commonly with gay, lesbian, bisexual people was that they were used for experimentation. And a lot of those experiments were very forms of torture, really. But again, during the Holocaust, they were seen as less than, not people. And so the German people, or not the German people, but the Nazis and their supporters felt it was okay to do all these experiments and so on. So as part of sort of reclaiming that horrible history of the pink and the black triangle, the gay community has used it now as a symbol, in a way like the flag, but also remembering to tell the history or the story that's behind it. Yeah. So.
Oh, that's history, Vida. Thank you for educating me.
Yeah. Okay. There's so much here, Margaret. And gosh, it's 5 minutes to 7.
I know.
Okay. Do you happen to know what book in the Bible talks the most about whether or not it's a sin to be gay.
What book other than the Bible?
No, what book? Or yeah, there are several books in the Bible,
Oh, I know what you mean. Okay.
like Genesis and Exodus. And
Yes, no, I'm not aware of this.
does your helper know?
I don't know the Bible
Ah, gee. Yeah, I don't really know them all either, but it's Leviticus. But I think what's interesting is Leviticus also has a lot of guidance as to or around a whole lot of things. Like it's also a sin to wear clothing that has more than one kind of fiber in it. So if you've ever worn cotton and polyester at the same time, you know, so it's interesting to see, you know, that we still hang on to those couple of little things in Leviticus and you know, say, well, that's what the Bible says, but we've kind of dismissed all the other things that we do that were against Leviticus's guidance, and you know, say, well, it's modern times today. We don't do that anymore. Anyway, so that's the book most commonly used, and a lot of times people will say, you know, God said that it was a sin to be gay. Well, actually, God didn't say anything about that. What's in the Bible is stories told by human people about things either that happened or it could have been visions or other things that they had. But you know, for those people who believe in God, you know, to have that told to them that they are sinners in the eyes of God would have been a very strong way of forcing them to not be who they really were. Yeah. And even today, we still have a lot of denominations and places where people go, and that if they are, you know, adherents to different faiths or religions, within that religion, it may tell them that to be who they are is a sin. And I think it's interesting just to mention tonight is October 6th, and there is a service happening as we speak in Halifax of the first queer church. And they're hoping there are two ministers who will be leading the service, and they're going to be holding services for the next few weeks. The dates are online. People can look them up, and maybe next week we could have the actual dates. Yeah. But since 2011 in Nova Scotia, we haven't had a place for people who are Christian or who want to follow their faith and who are openly gay or lesbian to go. The Metropolitan Community Church was one of the first churches in Canada, and it had operated in Halifax until 2011, and then it had stopped. And so this is a new place for people to go. And I'm hoping that I'll be able to go in and kind of see what they're all about, and maybe invite one or both of the ministers to be a guest on our podcast. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to finish with a final Jeopardy question. So are you ready?
Okay.
All right. What year was marriage between same-sex couples made legal in Canada?
In 2005.
That's correct. Here's a little bonus question. Was Canada the first country in the world to recognize or to legalize same-sex marriage? Yes or no to that, and then
no.
Okay, that's correct. Now it's a real bonus if you can tell me the country that was the first country.
The Netherlands?
That's correct. There you
Yay,
go. Yay. Well, I
Kate knows
think
all that.
you got every question, I think, but one. And the pink triangle one, I think, kind of, yeah. So
I
that's
learned a
good.
lot by this. Thank you.
Yeah,
I've learned a lot.
there's a lot more. I mean, I went back as far as the 9th millennium
Mm-hmm.
to examples of cave drawings and petroglyphs and hieroglyphs. Is it hieroglyphics?
Oh,
And different that illustrated the existence, and in a lot of times throughout history, same-sex relationships were very accepted or at least tolerated. And it really wasn't until organized religion tended to get involved, where it started to be seen as a sin, and also in some places became criminalized. And so if you acted on who you were, then you could be also in some cases put to death, in other cases punished, and so on. There's a lot of history about examples of same-sex relationships in Canada. And like the first person ever to be taken to court was a drummer who was in a French battalion, and he was convicted of the crime of having sex with another man. And the Jesuit priests got involved. This would have been in Montreal, and then the Jesuit priests from Quebec got involved, and they asked the court to not put him to death, but to find another punishment for him where he could live. And he was then designated as the city's or the community's executioner for the rest of his life. So he would live, but his role in society would be to execute other people.
oh,
So, and I
what a
mean,
punishment.
Canadian history, and especially in the 1900s and up till today, is just chock full. So for anybody who just wants to know more, or who is gay or lesbian, I mentioned I knew from a young age, but it wasn't until my 30s where I learned and started to explore the history. And it was so helpful in giving me a sense of meaning, that I wasn't a new modern phenomenon that a lot of people, that's what happens in the 60s, the sexual revolution and all this, that people like me have existed as long as people have existed. And yes, how we saw people has changed, and but very interesting. A lot of countries and places never saw being gay as a sin, or as it was just an expression of love in a variety of ways. So I think for some people it helps to know that there is a history, and that many people fought for the rights that we do have today in Canada. And I believe there are, I'm going to say, over 100 places in the world where you can still be put to death for the crime of being gay. And there are still states in the country just below us where it is not legal to be gay. And there are places, most certainly, where marriage is not recognized between same-sex couples in the States. So even in what we would call modernized or first world countries and places in the world, there are still some people and laws and definitely religions that would still condemn or convict someone just simply for the crime of being gay. So there, I think, yeah. And I forgot to look up, being gay was a mental illness when I was born. So, and I can't remember if it was the DSM-3 or 4 where that was removed. And I think it was it's either 1973 or 76 where it was removed. But when I was born, if I had been able to verbalize and talk about who I was, I would have been dismissed because I was so young. But if I had been an adult, then I would have been committing a crime.
Right.
And that's pretty sad, you know, if you're committing a crime just to be who you are.
And mentally ill.
Yes, and to be mentally ill. Yeah.
Yeah.
1973. Oh, it was the DSM-2. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Kate. Yeah, I forgot to do that research, but I have pages and pages more, but that's just kind of a
Maybe
sampling,
next
I
week
think.
we can do a little bit more.
Maybe just a couple of
Yeah.
other facts or something. And then if, when we have a chance during this month, we could throw some in, or just generally.
Just anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime
Yeah.
is a good time to talk about these kinds of things.
Yeah. But if you had been on Jeopardy, you would have won quite a bit of money.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You and Kate
Thanks
would
for
be able
going
to.
easy on me, Vida. And,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't have done it without Kate.
Yeah. No, you probably knew them all.
No.
No? Okay. I didn't either until I
I'd
reread
like
them
to say
today.
that I did. I'd like to think that I know everything, Vida, but I don't.
Yeah. No, and neither do I. Even after I do reading and write notes, I still forget most of it. So, but yeah, it is. I love history, and I would have loved to have been able to study this kind of history when I was younger. But I'm going to make it a point to try and do some courses. And I know Mount St. Vincent University has courses that are specific to, to the LGBTQ2SI community. And we didn't talk about the word queer, and maybe we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah.
Yes, because it has some controversy for some people, and we'll do that next week.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
All right.
Put it on the agenda.
Okay.
And I'm going to just do our short little loving kindness meditation. But before I do that, I just wanted to mention that we're going to have Classified join us on, I was going to say August again. I got to get rid of August. It's October. October 20th. Yes. Classified is going to be here to join us. And I'm so looking forward to hearing what inspired him to get into music. He's done a lot. I remember him from back in the cassette days when he made his first Time's Up kid. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
I'll be sitting here with my mouth open like a little celebrity thing. So I'll just be listening. Maybe I'll ask a question.
Maybe you can pull some trivia out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm looking forward to that. And any upcoming, I have a guest on the back burner that I'm hoping, next week I can share. And
just waiting for the confirmation before we make announcements.
Yeah.
Because life just keeps happening for people. And even though we make plans, sometimes it doesn't always go that way.
Yeah. I just want you to know, Margaret, you scooped the CBC and CTV. The man that you had on that did the Lego.
Oh, yes.
Was on CBC last night and CTV tonight.
Oh, wow.
And you talked to him how many weeks ago now?
Way to go.
I know.
He does amazing work. It's and he's known around the world, like with his Lego. And he just followed his heart.
Yeah.
He gave himself permission to be creative, and look at what he did. Yeah.
So there you scooped those big television networks.
Yay. And we'll have him back, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah, he was inspiring. Okay, so let's do our loving kindness meditation, and then we'll be done. We've gone way over today. I'm not going to fire him. Okay. So just for the next minute and a half or 2 minutes, just allow yourself to be still. You can sit or lie down. Just get yourself in a comfortable position. If you're comfortable closing your eyes, please do so. If you're not comfortable closing your eyes, just fix your stare on something in your hand. Be in this present moment. Just allow your breathing just to be natural. You don't need to count or control it in any way. Be in this state. You may notice your breathing starts to slow down and begin to notice any tension you might be holding in your body. Begin to feel any tension start to drain away from you. Feel it drain away from your eyes, your face, through your neck, your shoulders, and down your arms. Feel any tension drain like a liquid down through your body and out through your toes. Now begin to feel your body fill up with love. Imagine a loving white light entering your feet, traveling up through your body, up to your stomach, your chest, and your arms. Feel it almost bursting through your head, your fingers, and through the crown of your head. And when you feel embraced in that love, repeat the following statements to yourself. May I be free from all harm. May I be safe and protected. May I be free from all suffering. May I be happy. May I be free from all disease and physical pain. May I be healthy and strong. May I be able to live in this world happily, peacefully, joyfully, and with peace. Now turn your thoughts to this vast world, this huge world with all its living creatures. Continue to feel that love bursting through your body as you silently say, may all beings be free from all harm. May they be safe and protected. May all beings be free from all suffering. May they be happy. May all beings be free from all disease and physical pain. May they be healthy and strong. And may all beings be able to live in this world happily, peacefully, joyfully, and with ease. Send your love as far around the world as possible. And just imagine that energy traveling through the earth. Continue to feel that love centered around your heart. Carry this feeling with you through the rest of your day, feeling yourself in this moment, in the now. And when you are ready, you may slowly open your eyes.
You didn't drop them this
I
week.
didn't wipe out like I did last week. Yeah, I know. That was quite a kabuffle we had last week.
Yeah.
Quite a boo-boo. Okay. Well, we'll call that a wrap, and we will be back next Wednesday, which I believe is the 13th.
13th, yeah.
Yes, we'll be back, and we will continue our conversation on a topic yet to be determined.
Yeah.
But we'll find out. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Take care. Be well. Bye-bye.